Hi, this is Spencer Bonofiglio screencast, and for this assignment, I have decided to look at and research on Leonidas, one of the greatest soldiers and kings Sparta or the world has ever seen. Leonidas was born and raised in the beautiful Sparta. Sparta is located in the southern tip of Greece. Now, Sparta wasn't like any other culture. Being a dominantly war culture, they were born and raised to do one thing, and that was to fight. This training was brutal on the mind and the body of these Spartan boys, but necessary to groom these young boys into Spartan men. In Spartan culture, weakness was not accepted. So, as hard as their training was, it was in place to remove that weakness and to make room for greatness. Shit. Without this training, Leonidas would have never been the man, the soldier, or the king that he turned out to be. Leonidas was the 17th member of the Aegean line. His father was King Anaxandridas II. According to some myths, he was a descendant of the great Hercules. Leonidas was a great king of Sparta, but he was remembered for one main godlike act. In his last days, he stared down one of the greatest forces of that time with no fear. That moment where Leonidas stood strong to fight when so many others would not was called the Battle of Thermopylae. Now, as this was a great moment in Leonidas's and Spartan history, it is not exactly known to be fully truth. History has told us many slightly different versions of this story and some that are rather exaggerated. This is one of those stories that has been passed down from person to person and written down and tweaked throughout the ages. The reason for this uncertainty is the truth was really only known by one Greek. This man was sent back by Leonidas before the final battle to tell their tale. Now, with only one man to know the real truth, it is very easy for the story to get skewed. For example, the size of the Persian army. In the story, it is numbered in the millions. But to historians, that number doesn't seem to be right. In their minds, that number is high. In our reality, through different artifacts and knowledge that they've gathered throughout the years, a more realistic number for the Persian army would be from 100,000 to 250,000 men. Another skeptical point when looking at the events of that final day was, where did the Spartans' help go? Where did the Peloponnesians go? Did they abandon Sparta? Did they retreat back to their cities? Or in some cases, some believe that Leonidas gave them the order to leave, save themselves, knowing what was to come. And lastly, why did the Spartans break their wall of defense that had worked so well for them in previous battles? Why did they go into a much riskier attack mode, which was very unconventional of Spartan warfare? There are many different ideas about this. One of those is to say that earlier that day, Leonidas, their king and their leader, was slain in battle, therefore leaving the Spartans without a true leader. No matter the story, the base is all the same, and that is that one man, Leonidas, and his soldiers stood against the unlikely odds of surviving, ready for death at any moment for the chance to receive eternal glory. At the head of it all stood Leonidas, the king of Sparta, who had been groomed, just like all of his brothers, by Spartan culture from the beginning to prepare himself for moments exactly like this one. In conclusion, if Leonidas hadn't been the man he was and hadn't done what he did and inspired the rest of Sparta to go to war, then who knows how the history books may have been changed. Thank you.